Hey guys, Ron Gelock here, and I'm super excited to have this interview with you today. I'm here with Jeff Caliguire, the author of Habits of Hope. This is I just recently got Jeff's book and was actually Jeff was kind enough to have me be one of the reviewers in this book. A tremendous, great read. It's called The Habits of Hope. Self-leadership strategies to unleash your bigger purpose. So Jeff is actually a personal friend of mine. We met, over a year ago now at a Christian business mastermind. And Jeff is a really awesome and unique individual. He's also used to be a pastor and has run some nonprofit organizations. And Jeff's mission is to unlock, discover, and help people engage and invest in the calling and purpose that they have, one dream and one person at a time. And I've seen Jeff do this firsthand at our business mastermind, just in how he communicates and talks with people and really getting them to really pulling their dreams, their passions, their purposes outside of them. He's even done this in a retreat business that he has. He's also the founder of Entrepreneur on Purpose. Guy is tremendously gifted in this area. And Jeff, I'm really happy and excited to have you here to talk about your book, The Habits of Hope, and how it can help other Christians in business and other believers. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. It says my internet is a little unstable, so if there's some sound that goes up and down, we might know that.
Okay. So far, so good.
Yeah, I am doing great, Ron, and I am loving being able to talk about this book with you. Thank you for being willing to endorse it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I was put on this earth and went through a time of my own personal pain and discouragement, anxiety, and depression, now for a purpose, Ron. And there's so much out there that is about the physical part of struggling with your purpose, struggling with depression. And often it's a pill that people get, it's an antidepressant or something like that. There's 30 million people in the United States who take antidepressants, and there's 250 million people who are prescribed painkillers. I know we've got a physical problem, but I really come to see that we've got a spiritual problem that can be changed if we have a road towards this thing called hope.
That's awesome. I couldn't agree more. I've had both of those things happen for anxiety and depression, and took medication for it. And I would agree through some of my own experience, finding out that it is a spiritual issue that needs to be dealt with and experience some healing. And I know you go into that into your book quite a bit. So I guess I wanted to start with you because by asking, why did you write this book? Yeah. So in a lot of ways, why do we do a lot of things? It came out of my own searching. I was a pastor, and I was actually just going through my own anxiety and depression, and I didn't have any way forward because I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't feel like I could process it, and when I did process it with my wife, it didn't necessarily lead to good things. And when you think about the power of what hope can produce, when you've got hope, Ron, it's like there's a sense of tomorrow's going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. There's a sense of purpose to the now. And in fact, in the Bible, in 1 Corinthians, I was just reading this, 1 Corinthians 13, it says, and now these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. And I've been to seminary. I mean, there's a lot of things out there about growing your faith. Holy cow, I didn't know that, Ron. So these three things remain: faith, hope, and love. And there's a lot out there on faith and love. But what about hope? In some ways, I feel like it's the redheaded stepchild of the virtue trinity that's on Ron's forearm. And when you have those things, though, that makes for an incredible life. And certainly when you have hope, it grows your entrepreneurship. It keeps you persevering in sales. It keeps you persevering in tough times and relationships. but I'd never heard anything or anyone ever described to me, how do you get more hope? How do you grow it when it's lacking?
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of people can, really benefit from hope, especially when we are feeling hopeless, which at times I think we as entrepreneurs and just followers of Christ wrestle with that at times, ups and downs. Jeff, who is this book really written to? Who is it for?
Yeah, in the last few days, I've even had people who read it who have just said this was written just for me, and I know that in some ways I wrote it just for me. So I started the book in 2007, Ron, almost as a way to write towards hope. And this story just started to appear because I knew a guy when I was a kid who had hope, who believed in me. And he'd come up to me and he'd say things like, Jeff, there's a plan for you. There's a bigger purpose. I pray for you every day. And I'd think, wow, what would make someone be like that? Well, a few years ago, I realized he had passed away, Ron, and I didn't even know it. Didn't go to his funeral. And I started to think, man, I wish I could spend time with this guy again. And thus was born this story of this magical encounter where the person in the book gets to go to this place called Hope, where everybody lives this way. Everybody has adopted these habits where they have a sense of purpose. They have a bigger purpose. They have a hope. And they apply them, and it changes their town. It changes their life. And so, I literally apply these every day because I need them every day, like an alcoholic needs 12-step program.
Yeah, that's interesting. Jeff, I imagine it was kind of challenging at times to write this book, and a lot of it, come out of the depths of your own experience. What would you say was the hardest part of writing this book?
Yeah, the hardest part was persevering, Ron. I had to have hope. I literally came to a place where I felt like I'd put it away, kind of like a lot of projects. I'd put it away, and about a year ago, I started to have this fear, what if I die and I never bring this to the world? And I think, that's the what happens to entrepreneurs. What if you die? In fact, one of the things I say in the book is that one of the richest places in the world is the graveyard. It's not the gold mines or the diamond mines. So many people die with their life, work, and their dreams still in them. And I came to believe that could happen to me if I didn't get this book out. So beginning of the year, I actually hired a coach, and I said, please help me finish this book. And it worked, Ron, because by the end of March, I had finished the book. I, worked with Aviva Publishers. And now to me to actually have this real book, it feels to me like it was a journey I had to go on for myself. Now to have other people who have dreams that they too don't want to die with. They need to go through these habits so that they can live into them.
Yeah, Jeff, with that, like the habits of hope, like it's a tremendous, great story. Like I was really sucked in. I read it, like pretty quick once we got the last version. Like what if there could be? I know there's a lot that I personally walked away with. If there is some message that you want people to really grasp, I know there's several. What would be something that you want each reader to really walk away with?
Yeah. First, that there really is hope. The change is possible, but you need to decide a few things. You need to decide, number one, the status quo of my life and what I'm living into is not my full me, is not my full potential. And I think every once in a while we get little glimpses that we're not really living into our best. So number one, you have to say, kind of like the alcoholic, I'm not going to settle for this. This isn't the real me. And then number two is that you you reach out. You start doing things that create the momentum. And the first habit is very much a spiritual habit, to hear you're blessed. And every single day, to wake up in the morning, instead of seeing what's on Facebook, hear the words "you are blessed," which is how Jesus started his ministry. One of the first thing that happened to Jesus when he came out in public was he got baptized, the skies opened, and a voice from heaven said, "You are my beloved child in whom I'm well pleased."
Yeah.
Well, when you're going through anxiety and depression, you're not hearing that voice. You're hearing the other voice that says, "You stink. You're not good enough. You can't do this." And God wants you to hear the voice that says, "You have something unique. You are blessed. I have made you. You are my child. I feel good about you." So, that message in itself, in fact, there's a guy, I literally just sent me a picture of him yesterday with the words, "I'm blessed." He's going to get a tattoo after reading this, he's going to get a tattoo that says, "I'm blessed."
Nice.
And so as an author, that means, man, the fact that it's coming through that way. And, so yeah, it's a book that I believe, in fact, someone I just met last night said, "Oh, my husband's reading that book. It's changing his life. Thank you." Well, again, that means a lot to an author, and it's changed my life, Ron. These principles, in fact, I remember when you and I were rooming together, I shared some of my habits that I practice, because, you're like, "What are you doing?" And I shared what I'm doing and how I do this every day because it brings life to me.
Yeah, absolutely, Jeff. I don't want to give away all of the habits. That one that you taught me has definitely changed my life. Anytime that I'm feeling like anxious or depressed, that's one of the things that I do now as a go-to to kind of like change the way I'm operating and just like get out of the funk. But that one habit alone has been a big change in my life. So I'm super grateful for that as well. And your last comment, the knowing like you are blessed part, that's I think that's like right around the Habits of Hope chapter. But that one's actually my favorite chapter in the book. And what I like about this is I read a lot of personal development books, but I don't get a chance to really like read for fun as well. I'm just like too like go all the time. And I think like what your book does is it really blends both of those worlds, like having like a fun, relaxing story read, but at the same time having like all these aha moments going through at the same time, that it's actually like really fun for me to read, right? So my question is I imagine that as you were writing this book, maybe you experienced some of these aha moments as well as your readers are when we go through it. What's one thing that you learned by writing this book?
Wow, one. I think number one is that I can change. That change, change is really possible. I remember I used to shout to my wife in the midst of my discouragement, depression, "I can't change." And that's not a good way to have a relationship or a very positive mindset. But what I've learned, Ron, is that I can change. And if I can change, you can change. And that you really can go from being stuck or discouraged, depressed, anxious, to having days be awesome and love your life and love your work. 80% of people say they're not in work that they would really love, or 73% of people say they feel like they're disengaged from their work. That can change.
Yeah.
You don't need to stay stuck in that. And so I kind of feel like I'm the poster child of, hey, if I can be excited about my work and I can change, then you can change. But you don't change just because you say, well, hey, I'm just going to have faith. I'm just going to have hope. Right. There really are some steps that you can put into your life as disciplines, as habits that can move you in that direction. And that's where, if you can be intentional and apply these things, you really can change.
Yeah, I agree with that. You know, it's funny. This morning, I did a call on, you know, like getting stuck out of a rut, and what does that look like for entrepreneurs? And I gave some practical stuff in it. But I mean, this book, and especially the habits part, I think really paints a good roadmap for people to go through. You know, a lot of times I think in Christianity that, you know, people who are like trying to go through change are just like, you know, like just keep praying, just keep believing more, you know, like read more of the word. And it's just like, yeah, that's great. It's really good to like renew your mind that way. But I always want something like kind of like tangible for me to
Right.
develop those habits and those patterns and those practices. You know, and I think like, I think in your book, you do a really great job of developing that. So my question with this is, what can somebody, like, let's say somebody is like serious about like, hey, I need a change in my life. I don't exactly know how to get it, but I know like I have a little bit of hope that, you know, the grass is greener on the other side. What can someone expect to experience or to have happen after going through your book?
Yeah, I mean, and I literally probably go back and read this, you know, a few times a week, because I need to go back and bring it. And it takes time to get something into you. So like you said, I mean, almost everybody feels like it's a fast read because it's a story, and the story takes place in the Adirondacks, and it's got intrigue and things happen. But what I would say is find one or two of those habits to focus on for a month or a few weeks, and, you know, or discuss it with the group. I've got one person who just read it and said they're going to do it with their small group, and they're going to go through each of them. So I would say you can't apply all 12 of these all at once and expect it's all going to work. But if you pick one or two and you start there, and then you keep the book on your shelf and go back to it, then you'll start to see real progress and change. And you know, again, you can't do all 12 things at once, but all 12 things are important.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think if we try to pick up too much at time, all at the same time.
It's overwhelm. It's overwhelm. You know, I can't remember 12 things. You know?
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then, you know, Jeff, I'm curious as well. Are you working on any future projects, or have there been anything really cool that has happened as a result of writing this book?
Yeah. I mean, I have had to discipline myself, Ron, to not go on to the next project, because that's my nature. It's the entrepreneurial. I got to do the next thing. My three goals, you know, my number one goal is to share the message of this book, because I'm seeing when people read it's transformational. So I don't want to go on to something until I really get the message out and talk to people like you. And I just did a pastor's podcast a couple days ago, and I spoke at a conference with entrepreneurs. So my thing now is to discipline myself to not move on until I've really, I mean, I want this to be in churches. I want this to be in entrepreneurs' hands. And so I've had to stop myself from going, time to write a new book, because I've written a lot of them. Some of them that have been published, and some of them that are right here on this computer.
Cool. That's great. I love the discipline. That was not the answer I was expecting, but it makes a lot of sense. That's really good, man. You know, I know that people are gonna love this book and just like love to read it. It's very, I'd say, transformational. Jeff, where can people learn more about this book, how they can get a copy of it, and how they can really stay in touch with you and how you can benefit people's lives? Where can we?
Yeah. So you go to thehabitsofhope.com, okay? And if you notice, the book is a hardcover book. it's kind of like retro, you know, and I'm actually not going to release it for a while as an ebook, because I want people to have the experience of actually a tangible, you know, book, almost like going on a little retreat. So thehabitsofhope.com, you can get a copy. It's on Amazon, and jeffcaliguire.com is my website. And, you know, love to stay in touch with you. And you can also go on Facebook to The Habits of Hope, and you'll see there's a Facebook page for it. And then links, obviously, to buy the book or to comment. But I love hearing feedback. So if you do read it, send me a note, send me an email. That makes my day.
That's awesome. Jeff, we'll definitely put some links to your book and your website, jeffcaliguire.com, below this video on the blog today. Jeff, before we go, would there be one last thing you'd love to leave the viewers with, or my audience with? One thing that we can leave them with today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what you're about, Ron. It's that you've got something in you. You've got a dream. You're building a business that you need to do because it's in you. Don't let anybody's voice, don't let anybody stop you, including your own thoughts. If your thoughts become what's in your way, it may be time to go to work and change your thoughts, because we can be our own worst enemies. So, you know, you've got something really valuable to bring to the world. Go for it.
Man, that was good. That was awesome, man. Jeff, I want to say thanks again so much for hanging out with me today. Guys, if you're watching this interview, you want to pick up this book, Habits of Hope, I absolutely endorse it 110%. Please go ahead and do that. Grab it on Amazon. Go to habitsofhope.com. You know, subscribe at jeffcaliguire.com. Stay in touch with this guy. He's up to big things. Jeff, thank you so much for coming on today. I love you, man. You're a brother, and you know, I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, man. It is incredibly mutual. Great to be with you, Ron.
All right, guys. God bless.